Okay, welcome to Weedy Wednesday. This is Michael Ellis, also known as Elias the Artist, and I will be guiding you on your tour today for making silver from plants. We're going to be using mugwort and citric acid. Those are the two ingredients you'll need. And let's get to it. Now what you're going to need is a bag of mugwort. Oops, that's the wrong side. Mugwort. Now I got mine from Mountain Rose Herbs. You can grow your own, or you can buy it from an herbal supply company. It's sold online in many different forms. I got the whole plant kind, which has the, well, it doesn't have the roots, but it has all the aerial parts to it. And you're also going to need, well, this is our lunar herb, so we need a lunar herb. You can also use a different type of herb that's lunar if you want to make silver, but we're using mugwort today as an example. You're also going to need citric acid. The reason we use citric acid is because, unlike salts, it won't mess up our kiln very much. So when we go to melt it down or torch it, whichever you choose to do, it'll give off a little bit of fume, but it won't be like nasty and gross and stuff and cause permanent damage to the environment and stuff. So, and it will be edible. That's the primary goal. Is right now we want it to be edible, so that's why we use citric acid. You'll also need a spoon and something preferably metallic, because we want to be sanitary about this. I'm using a no plastic spoon just for demonstration, but you preferably want a metal spoon, like something like steel or silver or something like that. And then you're going to need either a hot plate or a stove or something like that, something that'll heat your, if you have an alcohol burner, you can use that, or but it might not get hot enough. Something like that. You could even use a rocket stove if you want to heat, or a gas propane kind of stove type thing if you really wanted to. You're also going to need a Pyrex container. Now the reason we use Pyrex is because, well, this, not Pyrex literally, but just a borosilicate container, flask of some sort, preferably a beaker, but it doesn't have to be a beaker. It can be like a boiling flask or something like that. The reason we use that is because we don't want it to break, and we want it to handle high temperatures and temperature changes. Borosilicate is superior for handling temperature changes. So it doesn't crack under pressure and under stress of different temperatures and so on and so forth. And you're going to need about 1,000 milliliters of either, or a liter, so to speak, of either tap water or distilled water. Either or will work. We're just using tap water, and we're using the cold water, not the softened water. You don't want the softened water that has salt in it, and that'll screw up your attempts to melt it down or distill it or whatever you want to do with it. So yeah, we're using tap water, and I have some crystals scattered around for good energy. So that's why we have those there. And our flashlight, yeah, you might want to get a flashlight so you can look at your product in the dark, because it turns kind of blackish during the processing, because it turns into black silver oxide or dark silver colloid during the process, so you'll want a flashlight to get a good look at it. Okay, so we're going to begin our process by, well, adding citric acid, I guess. It's the first thing we do. You're going to want about 1 or 2, just probably 1 teaspoon, I guess. Should suffice. And after you're done, close up your bag and don't put your spoon back in the bag. And you want to find a clean, and once you set your spoon down, do not put it back in the bag. Those are just regular sanitary reasons. So this is a dirty spoon, we won't use it again. And then we close up our bag. Soda, or water, I guess. So then we need a little bit of mugwort, and we'll take that out by hand. We washed our hands before doing this. So we just take a little bit of mugwort, maybe like a handful. I'll need a little more than that. 2 handfuls. And we let that mix up on its own during boiling. And we close our bag. Alright, now we have our 2 main ingredients. That's all we really need. Or 3 main ingredients, actually. So we have the and if we're speaking alchemically, we have the mercury, which is the water. We have our salt, which is our citric acid. And we have our sulfur, which is the mugwort. So we have a full alchemical, whatchamacallit, I can't think of the word, full chemical setup here. We have our full process for the stone, and the stone's output is going to be a metal. In this case, it's going to be silver, and other minerals and other stones pertaining to the plant mugwort. So we're going to bring out mugwort's full potential as its soul, if you will. And I'll turn this section this way, I guess. So you can still see the instructions on there, under the meter readings on there. So we're going to center it on our hot plate. In this case, I have an infrared burner. And we're going to turn it way up, probably as far as it can go. I don't know what your settings are at home, but this will get it boiling pretty quickly. You don't want to burn it, like so it smells bad, but you want to keep it at a moderate temperature. If you burn it a little bit, that's okay. That's what some alchemists do. They burn their plant and then they dilute their plant, cook it, burn it, and put the ashes back in. That's one process of spagyrics that certain alchemists use. I just use a salt, a plant, and water, a decoction. Some alchemists use alcohol and essential oils and stuff like that. Or essential oil extractions, excuse me. But I don't use that. I use just the herb and the water and a salt. In this case, we're using citric acid to bring out the metals from the herb because it's edible. Some people use sodium bicarbonate. Some people use water softener salt. Those will work too, but they might not be edible. But they'll be good for distillation if you want to make colloidal gold and silver. That works too. Or colloidal gold, rather. But those are produced by distillation, so you don't do this in a regular flask. Like a beaker. So, yeah. So we'll pause this and I'll come back when we get this boiling. Okay, I'm back. It's not quite boiling yet, but we have a little bit of a boil occurring on the bottom. I just wanted to bring it back and show you how it's turning slightly, ever so slightly green. And you can see that along the edge of the beaker on the back side there. Now that's important because we know we're getting a solution now. We know that our herb is beginning to dissolve into the water, and that is called a decoction. Now a decoction is when a plant, such as our mugwort, creates a tea-like solution in the water. So that's what we have right here. So we have a tea-like solution in the water called a decoction, and you can see we're starting to boil, and we're getting the citric acid mixed in with the solution, and it's starting to dissolve and bubble up like that.